During Pope Francis's funeral, a particularly special moment was unexpectedly recalled. Nearly 10 years ago, during a historic meeting with Queen Elizabeth II, the Pope gave her a special gift. However, the gift wasn't for her, but for the newborn Prince George, the Queen's great-grandson. At the time, no one really paid much attention to this gift. People assumed it was just a kind and symbolic gesture, like any other gift exchanged between world leaders. But now, with the passing of Pope Francis, the world has begun to look back and uncover the deeper meaning hidden behind this gift. It wasn't just a typical diplomatic offering, but rather a secret message sent to the British crown and the world. It was a gesture full of subtle implications, a reminder of the values and responsibilities that future generations of the British royal family will have to carry. If you found this story fascinating and want to explore more surprising stories, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to hit like, share this video with your friends and those around you, and leave your thoughts in the comments so we know what you think. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest videos. Now let's dive into the story. What exactly did the Pope give to the Queen that day at the Vatican, and what mysterious meaning did he leave behind in what was once a silent secret, now revealed to the world? And this revelation could alter the course of history. Pope Francis passed away on April 21, 2025, at the age of 88, during his 12 years leading the Catholic Church. But honestly, he was more than just a religious leader. The entire world saw him as a symbol of kindness, humility, and hope. When the news of his death spread, it felt like the end of an era, and people didn't just lose a pope, they lost a man who always stood up for the poor, spoke about peace, and reminded leaders to care for the people, not just power. His funeral was held at St. Peter's Square, with over 200,000 people gathering to bid farewell. You can imagine leaders from all over the world attending, presidents, kings, queens, and princes. It was a moment when politics, faith, and tradition all stood still to honor one man, and of course, royal families were there. Almost every European monarchy sent representatives to pay their respects. Let me tell you who was there. First, King Philippe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain arrived early in the morning, standing quietly before the Pope's casket. You could feel the weight of the moment. They had met Pope Francis several times before, since they were still Prince and Princess of Asturias. Spain had never hosted the Pope, but their relationship was very strong. After his passing, Felipe sent his sincere condolences and even signed the condolence book with Queen Sophia. Next was Queen Mary of Denmark, who came alone because King Frederick was on an official visit to Japan. Mary sat in the front row, dressed in strict black as per tradition. She had met the Pope in 2018, so for her, this was a personal visit. From Sweden, King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia also arrived. Queen Sylvia wore the traditional black headscarf, very elegant yet respectful. They spoke warmly about Pope Francis, recalling his visit to Lund, where Catholics and Lutherans united in a rare moment of unity. Prince Haakon and Princess Mette-Marit represented Norway. It was moving to see Mette-Marit there, despite struggling with health issues. She made the trip dressed in black with a mantilla shawl, showing how important this farewell was. Grand Duke Henri and Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg were also present, visibly moved. Luxembourg has a close relationship with the Vatican, and the Pope had even met their grandchildren during his 2023 visit. Later, Prince William came alone without Kate. This was symbolic of him. King Charles knew Pope Francis well, but now it was William stepping up as a future king. Just as Queen Elizabeth had once sent Charles to attend the funeral of Pope John Paul II, now William stood there. Not only representing their own family, but also the entire United Kingdom, Prince Albert and Princess Charlene from Monaco took their seats, both dressed in black. Monaco even declared a 3-day mourning period after the Pope's death. Such was the level of respect they held for him. Albert spoke highly of the Pope's message of love and justice. Even King Abdullah II and Queen Rania of Jordan were present. Of course, Jordan is not a Catholic country, but that did not matter. They came with deep respect. Queen Rania wore a black headscarf, referring to Pope Francis as the Pope of the people. She recalled how he cared for refugees and children affected by war. The Belgian royal family, King Philippe and Queen Mathilde, also came to bid farewell. They remembered his humility and how he always thought of the less fortunate. Additionally, others such as Emmanuel Filiberto of Savoy and Prince Carlo of Bourbon-Sicily represented old royal families, still honoring a man who transcended all titles and time. It was a powerful sight. Royals from across Europe and even beyond, united in grief and respect. You know that saying goodbye to a pope is unlike any other funeral. There are very old rules, very strict rules, and when it comes to royals, every detail matters. It's not just about showing up, but also about showing deep respect through how you present yourself. If you find this content interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to hit like, share the video, and leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our other exciting videos. Now, let's continue the story together. Pope Francis's funeral at the Vatican was a meticulously staged event where every detail mattered, including how the global royal families were expected to present themselves at St. Peter's Square. The dress code was strictly black or dark, no bright colors, no bold statements. Women had to wear long skirts or dresses that reached the knee with long sleeves, simple, elegant jewelry, but modest, only the most discreet pieces. No sparkling diamonds under the sun, no flashy necklaces. Pearls were the safest, timeless, and respectful choice, just like Queen Sophia wore when she attended Pope John Paul II's funeral years ago. And of course, there was the delicate black lace veil, a tradition many royal women wear on their heads. You could see Queen Sylvia of Sweden and Princess Mette-Marit of Norway following this tradition, looking graceful yet solemn, telling everyone, "I'm here not as a queen or a princess, but as a woman expressing my respect." But there is one strange thing. Have you ever heard of the privilege of white? It's a little secret rule from the Vatican that allows a select few royal women to wear white in front of the Pope. Yes, white is a color typically reserved for the Pope, but queens like Letizia of Spain, Sophia of Belgium, and Charlene of Monaco have this privilege, but only during private audiences or unofficial events. Specifically, at a funeral, even these privileged queens must not follow the same tradition as everyone else, simply wearing black as a sign of respect. Therefore, Queen Letizia did not appear in white this time, even though she had worn it before during her visits to the Vatican. Oh, even shoes are regulated. No high heels, no open-toed shoes, only simple closed shoes. Because at such a time, elegance comes from humility, not fashion. When you look across the royal seats that day, everyone followed the same unwritten rule, leaving behind titles, crowns, and status. They were not there to shine, they were there to mourn. It's such an interesting and dramatic fact that just days before Pope Francis's death, King Charles and his wife Camilla met with him. This was not a planned event. In fact, everyone believed the meeting had been canceled because the Pope was too ill to receive guests. He had just survived a dangerous battle with pneumonia, having been in the hospital for weeks. Charles himself was not in perfect health either, or he was still battling cancer. But suddenly, when Charles and Camilla were in Italy to celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary, the Vatican announced that Pope Francis wanted to meet them privately. No cameras, no speeches, just a quiet moment between the three of them, witnessing the weight of the world on their shoulders. The meeting lasted about 20 minutes, but imagine what could be said in those few minutes when two powerful figures knew that time was running out. The Pope wished them a happy anniversary and thanked them for coming. There was even a gift exchange, with Charles seen holding a small red box as he left something inside it. What was inside, no one knows, and perhaps we will never know. Some say this meeting was just a polite gesture, but others believe it was something symbolic. A final conversation where Pope Francis might have shared thoughts or advice to guide Charles as a king, or perhaps left him a hidden message that we can only guess. But one thing is certain, it was no coincidence that they met just days before the Pope passed away. And if that wasn't enough, people began to recall another royal visit to the Vatican, a visit with even deeper meaning, almost sacred. In 2014, Queen Elizabeth II herself met Pope Francis. It was a historic moment. Two of the most respected figures in the world, both symbols of tradition and faith, and in that meeting, something unusual occurred. But we will soon discuss that. Queen Elizabeth II lived longer and reigned longer than most leaders of her time, having witnessed presidents, kings, and prime ministers come and go. But there is one kind of meeting that always stands out: her audiences with the popes. Throughout her 70 years of reign, she met 5 different popes. No other king in British history has had such a unique relationship with the Vatican. These were not ordinary visits or just diplomatic ceremonies. Every meeting was carefully arranged, full of symbolism, tradition, and subtle messages that only 2 such figures could truly understand. It all started in 1951, when Elizabeth was not yet queen, as she was still a young princess when she met Pope Pius X in Rome. Can you imagine a 25-year-old woman unprepared for a life of duty before the Pope? He praised her for carrying such a heavy responsibility with grace and dignity, not knowing that just a year later she would be crowned queen. Then, in 1961, as queen, she met Pope John XXIII at the Apostolic Palace. The Pope expressed his deep respect for her, not about religion, but about 2 leaders acknowledging the burden they both carried. But her most frequent meetings were with Pope John Paul II, whom she met 3 times, first in 1980 at the Vatican, then during the historic visit to the UK in 1982, the first time a pope set foot in the United Kingdom, and again in 2000. Each time they exchanged gifts and warm words, clearly showing mutual respect despite representing different churches. In 2010, Queen Elizabeth welcomed Pope Benedict XVI to Scotland, marking his first visit to the UK. They did not just discuss rituals, but also shared concerns about the world, about maintaining Christian values in modern society. It was a sincere and thoughtful conversation between two people who had witnessed the world change around them. And then in 2014 came her final meeting with him, perhaps the most mysterious meeting when talking about royal tradition. Have you ever wondered what European royal families enjoy at their dinner tables? You can explore the secrets of royal cuisine in a new book, Elegant Main Dishes. It's a cookbook inspired by the royal families of Europe, a collection of main-course recipes adjusted for daily cooking but with a touch of royal elegance, simple, delicious, and perfect for anyone who wants to bring a bit of royal charm to their meals. The book is available on Amazon in both Kindle and hardcover versions. Get it today and prepare a truly royal meal. It was a bright spring day in Rome, April 3, 2014. Wisteria was in bloom, and Queen Elizabeth II arrived at the Vatican wearing a soft lavender coat and matching hat, perfect for the season. But this wasn't just an ordinary royal visit. There was something special in the air. The Queen wasn't alone. Prince Philip was by her side as always. They arrived about 20 minutes late, but when you're having a delightful lunch with the Italian president, who can blame them? Smiling politely, the Queen greeted Pope Francis with the simple words, "Sorry to keep you waiting. We were having a very enjoyable lunch." Pope Francis warmly and familiarly welcomed them in English. "Welcome." And so the two most iconic figures in the world sat down for a private conversation. No cameras, no microphones, just under 20 minutes after the door closed, with only one interpreter helping them bridge language and tradition. What did they talk about? No one knows. Vatican has always remained silent, as always. But sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Then came the traditional gift exchange ceremony, but this time it was anything but ordinary. Queen Elizabeth, ever thoughtful, brought a small wicker basket filled with delicacies from the royal estate, including honey from her own garden at Buckingham Palace. She smiled as she told the Pope, "I hope this is unusual for you." Alongside the honey was a bottle of Balmoral whiskey, which honestly made Pope Francis raise an eyebrow in surprise when Prince Philip proudly held it up. There was also apple cider, and even a dozen eggs. It felt more like a friendly gesture between neighbors than an official diplomatic offer. But then Pope Francis did something unexpected. Instead of giving the Queen the usual Vatican medal or a framed blessing as many would have expected, he gave her a small stone globe with a sharp crucifix, and with a warm smile, he said it was for El Ninto, the way he affectionately referred to the child, of course referring to the Queen's great-grandson, Prince George, who was only 8 months old at the time. The Queen looked at the unusual gift and chuckled softly. "The little boy will be very pleased to know this when he's a little older." Everyone in the room smiled. It seemed like a sweet symbolic gesture from the Pope for the future generation of the British royal family. But this is just the beginning. At the time, it seemed like nothing more than tradition, just a polite exchange, or so it seemed. Now, after Pope Francis's death, people are looking back at that moment with fresh eyes. Why that gift? Why Prince George? And why did Pope Francis choose something so symbolic, a stone globe with a crucifix, instead of a simple toy or blessing? Some believe it wasn't just a gift. It was a message, a quiet spiritual reminder for the future king. But only now do we truly understand what that moment meant. That day in Rome ended quietly as it had begun. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip continued their visit to complete the duties she had postponed the previous year due to illness. She didn't like leaving promises unfulfilled, which is why she was determined to meet Pope Francis. After Pope Francis passed away, a simple moment from 2014 took on a completely new meaning. What once seemed like a charming gesture, a small gift for baby Prince George, is now seen as something much deeper. The gift he gave was no coincidence. It was a round globe, a globe with a crucifix affixed to it, rich in history and symbolism for centuries. This symbol has existed as a powerful reminder that all earthly power must submit to a higher divine authority. It wasn't just a beautiful item, it was also a message carved into tradition. This symbol is familiar to the British royal family. During each coronation, the monarch holds the royal orb, carrying almost the exact same meaning. It serves as a silent promise that the crown is not just a symbol of rule, but also a duty under God's supervision. It speaks of humility, not control, supreme power. So when Pope Francis placed this symbol into Queen Elizabeth's hands for her great-grandson, it was not just a diplomatic exchange, but a thoughtful reminder to a future king of what a true leader should represent. A subtle nudge that titles alone do not define greatness. Pope Francis was never a man of empty gestures throughout his life. He used simple actions and symbols to convey deep truths. He didn't rely on grand declarations. Instead, he believed that small, meaningful actions could inspire reflection and change the hearts of others. This gift is a perfect example of that philosophy. At the time, few realized the depth behind this gift. But as mourners gathered in St. Peter's Square, surrounded by royalty and dignitaries, people began to reflect. It became clear that Pope Francis left behind more than just memories. He left profound reminders of the values he cherished. Today, the humble globe given to Prince George is a lasting part of his legacy, not wrapped in mystery or hidden prophecy, but a clear and timeless symbol. It is a silent lesson passed on, showing that those born into privilege carry a much greater responsibility than themselves. And perhaps that's why, when reflecting on this gift, many have been struck by its meaning in a world often blinded by status and power. Pope Francis offered something different, a call for leadership through humility, faith, and compassion. Ultimately, that could be his most powerful message, not only to a young prince, but to anyone willing to listen. Is this simple gift a silent lesson for future generations, or merely a kind gesture? If you found this story interesting and want to keep exploring more captivating stories, don't forget to hit like, share this video with your friends and family, and leave your comment below to let us know what you think. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.